Hey guys, we got a lot of energy playing out today. It may be quite intense, quite emotional, and we may really feel as though we are just being tested to our limit today. We are in day 2 of Mars conjuncting Neptune. This energy does a whole bunch. Talked a lot about it in my video from yesterday where I was talking about Mars conjuncting Neptune. So if you missed that, you may want to reference that one as well. But today, we are also in some pretty hardcore black moon energy. The moon has moved into Capricorn, forming an opposition to the black moon. We also have that moon in Capricorn forming a square to Jupiter in Aries, and we also have our sun right now as well, forming a trine to Pluto retrograde in Capricorn today. So planetary themes, we are dealing with Pluto, we are dealing with Mars, we are dealing with Jupiter, and we are dealing with Saturn as well as a result of the moon's placement in the sign of Capricorn. So we got a lot of energy to talk about yet again today in terms of just how things are going, what's unfolding. Let's get into the chart and see how all of this is playing out. Welcome back to my channel, everyone. Today is Wednesday, May 18th, 2022. My name is Aubrey, and this is your astrological outlook of the day. And yeah, we got a lot to talk about yet again. Things have been so busy lately, you guys. This whole Taurus cycle has just been like really something, hasn't it? But it is providing more. So let's talk. Okay, so today we are in, as I said, this is day 2 of our Neptune-Mars conjunction. Actually, you guys, this is turning into a bit of an extended stay conjunction. Usually Mars is only at a degree for like a day and a half to 2 days, but because of the synchronistic timing through which this cosmic blueprint is expressing itself this week, we actually have Neptune changing degrees today as well. Neptune is a very slow moving planet, you guys. It takes Neptune like weeks to change just 1 degree in the zodiac. And as divine timing would have it playing out, today happens to be that one day that Neptune is changing degrees, and it corresponds to Mars also changing degrees. So we are going from a like 2-day conjunction to it's sort of spreading out over the course of 3 days because of Neptune's movement as well. So this conjunction is transitioning, you guys. Yesterday it happened at 25 degrees of Pisces. Today it is happening at 26 degrees of Pisces, which brings up some different themes as well, which I'll talk about symbolically as we get through this report. But again, like one of the major differences today in the way that this energy is expressing this Mars-Neptune conjunction is being colored through the lens of the moon activating the black moon today. We are in the heights of black moon energy as well. The moon left Sagittarius, moves into Cancer today, not Cancer, Aubrey, Capricorn, where it will be forming an exact opposition to the black moon currently at 4 degrees of Cancer. So lots of black moon energy being triggered as well. And it's really interesting what this is sort of doing in the dynamic of Mars and Neptune together, which, you know, if you saw my report yesterday, this energy also has a tendency to sort of have us in some type of an illusion or delusion regarding our perception of our own self, like of our own potential, of our own capabilities, of our own ability to act and to like take some type of action to move ourselves forward along a course leading to the fulfillment of our desires in one way or another, especially right now with both Jupiter and Venus ruling this cycle in the sign of Aries, you guys, ruled by Mars, who's in that conjunction to Neptune. This Neptune and Mars has a tendency of breaking down the ego, and therefore as a result sort of can have us in a state of confusion or uncertainty or fog or cloudiness, or just not seeing our own selves, like our own vitality, our own energy body, our own like ego. Clearly Neptune breaks down the ego, and the ego is how we identify ourselves. You know, the ego gets like a bad rap a lot of times because as humans we can have a tendency of attaching too much to it. However, we do need it to some extent, as again, like it defines our personality and our relationship to ourselves. And so when Neptune is coming through and coming into a conjunction to Mars, a lot of times it just can have us in a state of illusion or fantasy or delusion regarding our own self. And then we bring the black moon in Cancer into the equation. The black moon in Cancer, you guys, like this is energy that can bring up fears, doubts, insecurities, worries, anxieties, about our own ability to care for ourselves and to support ourselves. And a lot of times it can have us feeling very unsupported or unappreciated or unacknowledged or uncared for. Across the board, really, especially though in regards to like the family type units or the situations that we would look to for support. And as a result of that, it can have us feeling kind of like alienated or cast out or left out, or like we're, on our own in the world. Like we have to face it on our own. Like we're walking a solitary path and we can't really rely on or depend on or count on anybody. And like no one sees our value. That type of stuff has a tendency of being triggered when we have a black moon in Cancer, and when we're also dealing in this Mars, Neptune, and Pisces. Again, this is a water sign, very based on a feeling, emotional nature. And this is also the sign, you guys, of how we connect to spirit and our intuition. And so this energy as well can have us doubting our own spiritual connection, doubting our own intuition, and sort of like our intuitive component of ourselves being blocked by this weakened ego and these emotional insecurities that may be coming up. And then again, when we add to it this black moon in Cancer energy that already is triggering these doubts, these insecurities, these feelings of inadequacy and lack of acceptance and worth, self-worth also within us. This is just a recipe for some really perhaps negative emotions regarding our own selves, the trajectory of our future, what we're truly capable of, whether or not we can do it, who am I now anyways, that type of thing may really be coming up today. And you guys, I want to say right off the bat, and also we have Mercury retrograde as well. So our mind is not perceiving things logically, linearly, coherently the same way it normally does as well. And when we're considering all of these things, we do not want to attach to any feelings or negative self-perceptions of ourselves that we may be experiencing in this energy, because that is a very strong likelihood, and we don't want to allow this energy to weaken our self-image or our faith or trust or belief in ourselves in such a way that we sort of just lay down and let people walk all over us and surrender our power. Because ultimately, you guys, when we have the black moon operating in the sign of Cancer, this is actually trying to show us where we are essentially sabotaging our own growth and our own fulfillment and our own ability to receive love and support and appreciation and affection from others as a result of these feelings that we may attach to that are rising up from the depths of our, psyche, that are making us feel this lack of connection to the support systems generally. It's sort of can create a self-perpetuating loop. We may experience this internally, and as a result, our external circumstances may mirror it to sort of reinforce it. But the real reason why this is happening is so that we can gain an awareness of the root of this issue. And speaking of root issues, we also have, like I said in my intro, the sun in Taurus today, you guys, going to be forming a trine to Pluto retrograde in Capricorn. And so actually, one aspect of this energy today is really, really, really trying to help us dig under the surface of things, investigate, self-analyze where these issues are stemming from. What is the origin point of these potential feelings of lack of self-worth or self-care or nurturing or any of that black moon energy that may be playing out? Where is it stemming from? What started it? What is the origin point of it? And what do we need to do to regenerate and to heal and to purge these feelings so that we can head off in this new trajectory in alignment with this rebirth that we are going through right now, that is trying to bring us back into alignment with the authentic original versions of ourselves and all of the potential and the resources that represents for us to truly create lives for ourselves that have an ability and opportunity to help us attract and magnetize the things that will bring us our soul and our heart's version of true fulfillment. We are in this 222 year right now, which numerologically is indicating that is what the energy is moving us towards. We are also right now in this transitional process, bridging ages, bridging paradigms from the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius, which ultimately is going to become a new emergence of a new golden age for humanity as we come through this process of knowledge, self-empowerment, self-mastery, and ultimately co-creation with God and universe. The light is starting to shine through at the end of the tunnel, but we have a lot of inner work that needs to be done so that we can shift our vibration in such a way to help us align with these experiences that are trying to move us forward in that direction. And this is also being indicated in the chart today by the sun's simultaneous trine to Pluto retrograde, while we also have Mars on the conjunction to Neptune in Pisces and this very strong black moon energy. And you guys, another thing, we also have that moon in the early degrees of Cancer today, forming the opposition to the black moon, but also simultaneously forming a square to Jupiter in Aries. And so this is adding another dimension of things as well that I will get into as we get further into this report. But, that's basically the baseline, the groundwork, what we're looking at today. And ultimately, you guys, this energy is trying to show us through whatever emotional turbulence we may be going through today, how we are actually holding ourselves back from being able to move along this trajectory of authentic personal truth and growth. Like, that is really what it's about. Whatever is coming up is trying to show us what states internally and therefore externally are still limiting our progress moving forward along this trajectory of, again, authentic growth. And there may be some real feelings today of being tested, because ultimately we are dealing with Saturn at the root of all of this, because we do have the moon in Capricorn today, making these aspects, making the square to Jupiter in Aries, which is ruled by Mars, who's in that conjunction. The sun also trining Pluto in Capricorn, ruled by Saturn. And today, you guys, Saturn moves degrees to 26 degrees of Aquarius. And that Sabian symbol is a garage man testing a car's battery with a hydrometer. So this Saturn moving to this degree today for these aspects, Saturn's also a slow moving planet. It does take Saturn, a while, a couple days, sometimes a week, or maybe even more. I'm not exactly sure how many days it takes Saturn to move degree. It depends based on when he's going retrograde and blah, blah. But generally, it takes Saturn a little bit longer to move degrees. Not as long as, Neptune and Uranus, but longer than Jupiter. So Saturn moving to this degree today, I find to be a bit ironic as well. It's also talking about testing the car's battery with a hydrometer. It's like, how much pressure can we take, you guys? Like, what's our energy level at this point in time? Like, how much ability do we have to endure, to persevere, to overcome what may seem unsurmountable in this energy? We are being tested by universe today, and Saturn actually as the planet ruling the moon today, ruling Pluto, where the sun is in trine, and we have the moon, that moon in Capricorn, making these aspects today, throwing it back to Saturn, talking about testing the car's battery. What do we have? What do we got? Are we gonna fold when things get tough? Or are we going to persevere, overcome, and prove to the universe that we are ready for this next step? So I wanted to, state that as well. But generally, you guys, with the black moon and the trine between the sun in Taurus and Pluto in Capricorn, this is bringing up more of that shadow underworld energy today, also into tomorrow, because again, this transit is between Mars and Neptune is like extra extended a day because of Neptune moving degrees as well. This energy is breaking down the structures, the responsibilities, the limitations, and the authorities of the past, so that we can go through this rebirth, this transformation, this regeneration in alignment with our authentic truth. But with all of this going on today, first of all, Mars and Neptune together, that just on its own, taking the black moon out of it, can bring up inferiority complexes. Mars and Neptune lowers the vitality, lowers the energy level. It can bring up feelings of weakness, and it can make us feel like discouraged and unmotivated and like lacking capability in a lot of ways, just like lacking potency, just like we don't have what it takes, can be a vibe that we're dealing with when we have Mars in a conjunction to Neptune. And then when we're dealing with the black moon in Cancer as well, this may definitely be bringing up feelings of failure, something that we could definitely be dealing with today, but we do not want to attach to these, you guys. This transit, Mars and Neptune, is going to pass. This black moon energy, this is a moon transit. By the time that we get, what's today? This video will come out on Wednesday, Thursday. By the time we get to Friday, we're going to be feeling a lot differently about things. So this is in Mercury's retrograde. We do not want to be making choices, decisions, commitments, or like obliging ourselves to things like big like financial obligations or, anything like that in this energy where we may not be seeing ourselves, perceiving our own selves clearly, or just being sort of like controlled by negative emotions. That's another thing. We're talking about control, Capricorn. We're talking about emotions, Cancer, and we're talking about the black moon, these more negative sides of our emotions. So we want to make sure that we are not being like subconsciously controlled by these negative emotions that are causing us to engage in some of the more negative tendencies of the Mars Neptune in terms of seeking out an external savior, because we are doubting our own personal power, potential, willpower, motivation, all of that type of stuff, you guys. This is also, fights, arguments, like people are going to likely be very much engaged in their own mental and emotional coping mechanisms today. And that's another thing that I really wanted to talk about. There could be a lot of like mind games and emotion games going on today in this energy. People really gaslighting, projecting, manipulating, deceiving, cognitive dissonance, like fantasy faking, like promising some glorious idealistic picture of something in order to get somebody like wrapped up or wrapped into something and like pulled into a scenario that just has no legs. Like it's just a projection or a fake like scenario that's being used to play off somebody's insecurities that may be going on right now, or somebody's feeling of lack of power. This weakened ego makes us that's why when we have Mars and Neptune together, there is a likelihood or a tendency in this energy that we can be manipulated, or we can be deceived, or we can be like coerced, or just sold something that's not exactly as it is, because a lot of times it has us doubting our own intuition, or doubting our own capabilities, or doubting our own, like what we have inside of us, like our own personal power, and therefore, wanting to attach ourselves to or to connect with someone that we perceive has those things so that we can get a little bit of that feeling inside of ourselves as well. But this is just not the way that we want to be using this energy. This energy today with the sun and the trine to Pluto as well is all about getting under the surface of our own issues, getting to the root of things, investigating, discovering the original source of perhaps why we feel this way, and what can we do to regenerate, to get rid of that feeling, to overcome it, to integrate, to heal, to transcend out of that given various situation, circumstance. And again, like this could be definitely also with the black moon in effect, very much a more not so good feeling energy today. And people that don't have a strong grasp on their own emotions or their own subconscious mind are likely to be acting pretty ugly today, you guys, and just really projecting out, and really also this potential for like really clinging to or fighting to maintain delusions or illusions, or to like keep the lie going. You know what I mean? Like if people generally that have been putting up false pretenses or projecting themselves for periods of time as something that they're not, this is not the energy where they're, likely to give it up. Even if it's blatantly, even if we're seeing right through it, like people are likely to be like really fighting to maintain these delusions or these manipulations or these fantasies in one way or another. And in such a way, honestly, that it may be so overblown and so exaggerated and so over the top that we're actually seeing through it more. That sort of is where the dualism in this energy comes in. I mean, there's a lot of dualism going on in the energy that's presenting today as well. I mean, we're talking about Mars and Neptune in Pisces. Pisces is a very dualistic sign. On one side, you guys, it's like the spiritual warrior and the spiritual archetype, and like genuinely acting from this place of selflessness and altruism and just wanting to serve and protect like those, like the vulnerable and those that we perceive as like, weaker than ourselves in one type of way or another. Like we really want to be like the knight in shining armor, I guess you could say, on one hand of this energy. But on the other side of this energy, it can just really bring up this delusion in regards to our own selves. And therefore, as a result, these lies or this manipulation or just trying to present and project these false images to help us like feel better about ourselves in one way or another. And then with the black moon and this subconscious energy of lack of, self-worth essentially, and lack of support and lack of appreciation and feeling like alienated or alone in one type of a way or another, like this could definitely just have people grasping at straws, essentially trying to maintain their view, their version, their perception of whatever fantasy they may be operating under. So we're just going to let them be, okay? Like this is not the energy where, and Mars and Neptune, we may be, it might really be sparking some fights in regards to like wanting to reconcile reality, essentially, like really wanting to be like, no, that's not what happened. That's not what you said. That's not what you did. Like, I know, like I have it right here. Like I actually have a picture of it or something like that, but it just not mattering, like people are likely to be going pretty hard to maintain their version of things. So that's not really something that we really want to go to battle about today. We're better off just sort of turning the energy inwards, getting in touch with our own issues, and, sort of using this as a catalyst to reform our own viewpoint of ourselves going forward. Because that's another aspect of this, like Neptune and Mars, like this energy really is trying to restore a more like spiritualized relationship to our own ego. Like it's really trying to clear the fog and the confusion and the delusion in regards to our own self, our own perception. Because remember, we have Jupiter in Aries right now, and Jupiter is the planet of truth and the higher perspective of things. And Aries is a sign ruled by Mars. And with Jupiter in Aries, this is actually us fighting for our personal truth. And that is also why people may be fighting to maintain their personal delusions today. But ultimately, this energy is trying to wake us up to our own truth. And it may be just the way that things are playing out, the way that the planets are like stacking and the aspects that are happening and the energy that's present right now. It may be that we are arriving at this expanded version of our own truth through all of this exaggerated deception, all of this projection, all of this fantasy, all of this manipulation, just so overdone, so overblown, so over the top. Whereas before, we may have bought into it, but now it's like, it's just happening on such a level that we're just like, instead of having the effect of pulling us into the fantasy, it's actually helping us to see like the fallacies in the cracks in that projection. So we may be gaining like actual truth through illusion in this energy in one way or another, you guys. Now, I do want to talk just for a minute, like exclusively about the Sun trine Pluto retrograde, and then about Jupiter in square to, or the moon in square to Jupiter today. But I've already mentioned them quite a bit, but just, to baseline these aspects, Sun in Taurus, making the trine aspect, this is a facilitating aspect. This is an assisting aspect. This is things just falling into place, things just happening. In the end of Capricorn in retrograde, this desire to learn the inner workings of things today. This brings up really great energy for study and investigation and introspection and self-analysis. Great for making internal transformations, internal reformations. This is that rebirth, purge, purification, transformation, rebirth energy with the sun. So, this is a pretty significant aspect today as well, because we're talking about the sun and we're talking about the sign of Taurus, which is worth and value. So this is these transformations, these reformations, these discoveries that we're making are in regards as well to the truth of our own worth, of our own value, which is the contradictory energy to what we may be struggling with in this Mars, Neptune, Black Moon energy today. On a more collective level, this could also be bringing up some type of revelations, or also breaking things down in some type of a way in regards to financial systems, economies, especially like of the past, money, resources, supply chains, like food and stuff like that. We may be gaining a greater understanding of what's really been going on under the surface in terms of these specific issues. And this could definitely have to do with oil and fuel as well, because Mars and Neptune together in the sign of Pisces is talking about oil, gas, fuel, that type of stuff. Perhaps some contention or some fights going on regarding that as well. And this is energy. like I said, we have this dualistic energy, nature to the energy that is unfolding alongside of this Mars, Neptune, and Pisces, just because Pisces does that. It's these two very different sides, as I was mentioning earlier. And with this Pluto Sun trine coming in today, we want to make sure that we are using this energy to grow and evolve, and that we are not using it as a power grab, that we are not using it, because I mean, it fits into the 2 octaves of the Mars, Neptune energy. We want to be using it to evolve and grow, and not for like ruthless, selfish purposes that could align with that more lower octave of the Mars Neptune energy that brings out this potential for deception, for manipulation, for taking advantage of another person's weakness in order to fill something within ourselves, in order to like reap that power and feed it to ourselves. So definitely want to be aware of those 2 octaves today in terms of how this energy may be presenting, playing out. Very powerful day though, you guys, to get some things done that maybe we've been putting off, or maybe we haven't wanted to do, or maybe it's just been like bothering us or something like that. Like, this is the day to get the stuff done that, you know, maybe you just haven't wanted to do, because it actually can, when we have the sun and trine to Pluto, that type of stuff can actually end up having more of like a long-term positive benefit for us in terms of things that we actually learn through doing it. So wanted to mention that as well. Talking about the moon in Capricorn today, squaring Jupiter in the sign of Aries, ruled by Mars in the conjunction with Neptune. Another reason why this is not a good day, you guys, to be accepting offers or to be making major decisions, major choices, major purchases, engaging in like romantic commitments or obliging ourselves to others in one way or another. This energy, Jupiter square the moon, especially in Capricorn and Aries, can have a tendency to have us just overlooking the details, overlooking the fine print in things. And it also can play out along these 2 separate octaves. On one hand, this energy, the moon in the moon in Capricorn squaring Jupiter in Aries, can actually have us, you know, feeling more benevolent and more generous and more giving, and like we want to offer assistance and offer support and offer like structure, or, you know, help and assist in like any way we can. But on the flip side of that, like sort of going along with the more higher octave Mars Neptune vibes, but on the flip side of that, it can also perhaps cause us to be giving off some type of impression of self-righteousness or arrogance in one way or another, which can feed into those lower octave Neptune vibes of this self-delusion or manipulation or deception, or this like fantasy faking, or this just like cognitive dissonance, gaslighting, that type of stuff as well. So, you know, by the sun in the trine to Pluto and the moon in the square to Jupiter, we also have these 2 polarities in terms of the energy that can be playing out, that can either be aligning with the higher octave of the Mars energy that is coming through, or with the lower octave of the Mars energy is coming through. So as you can see, you guys, there are definitely ways that people can take advantage of this energy to take advantage of others for their own gain. But this is also energy that really shows us the truth of who we are, aligns us with our open-hearted nature, aligns us with our higher self, and really just has us having a desire to help, to assist, to serve the greater good from this much more altruistic, selfless, spiritually inspired place. So we may see both of these walking around out there today. And if you guys do encounter these sort of like dualistic manifestations in this energy, you know why. And again, we have these themes like this main theme today, the position of Saturn today, about being tested in one capacity or another, and testing our energy levels as well. Pressure being put on us, testing our energy, testing our resolve, testing our endurance, testing our wisdom, the lessons that we've learned, the things, the wisdom through experience that we've gained at this point in time, and are we going to apply it to whatever challenges may be arising for us today in this energy. Now, I want to talk about the Sabian symbols for just a minute, and then we will wrap up this astrology and move on to the tarot, which we had an interesting tarot message coming out today as well. But let's talk about the Sabian symbols for a minute. Let's talk about the planetary placements and see what the symbolism is adding to our picture that is being painted for us today. We have the sun at 28 degrees of Taurus. That Sabian symbol is a woman pursued by mature romance. And that makes sense to me because really this is a maturation in terms of us recognizing the truth of our own self-worth, our own value, and the self-love that gives to us. And as a result of that, it helps us to mature in terms of what we are looking for in relationships with others, what we are willing to accept for ourselves, what we are generally just attracting. You know, when we have a more mature, refined version and just a better relationship to our own self-value, our own self-worth, our own self-love, that is going to definitely help us attract and experience more positive relationships externally in our lives, as well as they are a reflection of the relationship that we have to ourselves. So again, in this energy today, it is actually helping in the sun in Taurus forming the trine to Pluto retrograde in Capricorn. It's actually trying to help to show us our root issues of any feelings of lack of self-worth, so that we can figure out where they came from, where they're stemming from, how we heal them, how we overcome them, how we release them, and how we realign the vibration that we have going on within our own heart and our relationship to our own self, so that we can change the nature of the relationships and the experiences that we are attracting externally as well. We have the Earth today, 28 degrees of Scorpio. That Sabian symbol is the king of the fairies approaching his domain. I feel like this is a return of self-empowerment, and also this is like a return of the magic that is being spoken about. We also have Venus today ruling this Taurus cycle that we're in right now at 19 degrees of Aries, the magic carpet of Oriental imagery. There's the word magic right there, in between the king of the fairies approaching his domain and the magic carpet of Oriental imagery. I do feel like this is talking about a return of the magic that is coming through, that is trying to come through, that is trying to restore us to this sense of self-empowerment based on this expanded viewpoint. Jupiter and Aries, based on this expanded personal truth, this expanded higher bird's eye view perspective of our own selves, clearing this fog, clearing this illusion, clearing this delusion in regards to our own selves, Mars, Aries, that we may have been operating under. So I find that to be interesting as well. As I said, we have Mars and Neptune both changing degrees today, moving to 26 degrees of Pisces. That Sabian symbol is a new moon, reveals that it's time for people to go ahead with their different projects. And so I feel like this is telling us that, yes, we are in the seed planting time right now. Like, we are in the intention setting phase of life, even though we're actually in the full moon cycle right now, which is, you know, we are heading towards this next new moon. And this is kind of a time of release as well, and exposure, and, you know, seeing how far we've come and where we're at. This degree where Mars and Neptune are, the new moon tells us it's time for people to go ahead with their different projects. I feel like this is telling us that we need to stay mentally in alignment with what we want to build, what we want to grow, what our goals are, what our intentions are, the life, the experiences that we want to create and experience going forward in the midst of any of these more negative feelings about ourselves that may be coming up in this energy. Like, we can't allow the illusion or the delusion or the fog or just the negative self-perception to cloud our vision of what the trajectory and the path that we are truly on right now, and what we truly want for ourselves, and, you know, having the ability to move forward in that direction as this energy begins to dissipate. And actually we start heading towards our new moon in Gemini that's going to be coming up in a couple weeks. We also have Jupiter right now. Jupiter has moved to 2 degrees of Aries. That Sabian symbol is a comedian entertaining the group. And with the moon in Capricorn forming a square to the Jupiter in Aries today at this degree, I feel like there also, you guys, may be like an aspect of, like, in the black moon and Pluto, like dark humor going on today. Or there may be like some comedic relief that we can give to ourselves if we're able to view our circumstances through that more like comedic lens in one way or another, like laughing at ourselves, at our circumstances, at our sorrows, like at our tests. What may feel like it's working against us today may actually be a beneficial way of like acting in this energy, because we're talking about Jupiter in Aries. This is a sign of action. This is a sign of taking action. This is like expansion. And Jupiter at this degree, a comedian entertaining the group, like there may be some type of therapeutic quality in being able to not take things so seriously, like not sweat the small stuff, like, you know, view ourselves from a more detached perspective and find like the humor in what we may be experiencing at this point in time. It may actually help us in some way as we are navigating these energies, with the moon making the square to Jupiter at this degree. And the moon in Capricorn, like that's serious, like that's taking things very seriously. When we have a Capricorn moon, we have a tendency to feel very seriously and be very serious about things and following the rules and fulfilling our commitments and our duties and our obligations. And it can be very heavy and feel like the weight of the world is on our shoulders and stuff like that. But squaring Jupiter in Aries, this is a much more like lively, energetic, optimistic, uplifting energy. And at this degree, we may just really need to make light of our more depressing or negative circumstances today. So wanted to mention that. And then, as I said, Saturn 26 Aquarius, a garage man testing a car's battery with a hydrometer. This is a galactic test today, you guys, and we are going to pass it. I know we are, and this energy is going to pass, so we're not going to attach to what we're feeling right now. And then the last but not least, the degree of the black moon right now, 4 degrees of Cancer, a cat arguing with a mouse. So here we are again, presenting these two very distinct, different polarities. Irreconcilable differences may be something that we're dealing with today. Agreeing to disagree about things may be something that we're dealing with today, because that cat and that mouse, no matter how much mediation is involved, no matter this, that, or the other, they are not going to get on the same page. They're just too different. Their motives are too different. Their intentions are too different. Their needs and desires are too different. Their perceptions of reality are too different. Like irreconcilable differences going on here. Agree to disagree may be a way to handle conflict that is presenting in this energy. So wanted to mention that as well. And last but not least, things that we may be asking ourselves today, you guys, that, you know, or that we should be asking ourselves as this energy surfaces today, because these are really the themes that it's boiling down to. How are we holding ourselves back, moon in Capricorn, from our own personal success, Jupiter in Aries? What negative self-perceptions, that black moon, are limiting our growth at this point in time, Capricorn, and again, Jupiter and Aries, personal growth. What negative self-perceptions are limiting our personal growth? And also, what feelings of lack, that black moon in Cancer, are keeping us from expanding in alignment with our own personal truths and our own spiritual, like personal, authentic, like beliefs and stuff that we are arriving at this point in time after Jupiter's big conjunction in Pisces with Neptune. Also Venus was there, and now in Aries, it's like these spiritual truths, the spiritual awakening that we may have experienced, like being channeled now into the recognition of our own personal truth as a result of this greater spiritual awakening that we may have experienced lately. So what feelings of lack are still keeping us from expanding in alignment with that and being able to, you know, really embody it, Aries, and move forward in a new direction with these spiritual truths, with these personal truths incorporated and embodied as a part of our being. So that's what we're looking at today in terms of the overall astrology, you guys. Underworld energy, testing energy, breaking down the structures and the authorities and the control systems of the past as well, rebirth, transformation energy, and really just asking us through the experiences that are presented to us today and what is coming up within us, asking us to gain an awareness of how and why and what is a root issue that is holding us back, especially in regards to any sense of lack of self-worth or value that we may be experiencing as a result as well of a lack of perhaps validation or care or acceptance or support from others in this energy with the black moon as well. And that's what we got, you guys. So that is the story that is coming through in the astrology today. Let's talk about the tarot for a minute, you guys. Tarot time. Got some cards coming out this morning. I was shuffling the deck, asking God, Spirit, Universe, please give me some symbolism to clarify what's going on with the collective right now. What do we need to know? You know, what is really playing out with us? It's a very interesting message that we had coming out with the tarot cards today. The first card that we got was the Six of Cups. Interesting enough, we then got the Five of Cups, followed by the Queen of Wands, followed by the Six of Swords, and then we had the Knight of Wands actually on the back of the deck. And, you know, this is actually, to me, giving a very, very clear and specific message because we're talking about the Six of Cups. This is a card of basically like the past and nostalgia and things from childhood and the things from the past that have carried us this far and that we truly love. But with the Five of Cups after that, this is talking about experiencing some type of disappointment, either as a result of this Six of Cups past energy, like feeling, you know, perhaps like betrayed or abandoned, or again, like lack of support coming from the people and the situations that we feel should care about, love, and support us. You know, some type of sense of disappointment about that. But then when we add the next card coming in, we got the Queen of Wands, you guys, followed by the Six of Swords. This is actually telling me that we are right now, and then the Knight of Wands after that. This is actually telling me that we are in the process of, yeah, like we are having to move on from some things. Like we are having to let some things go, and we are having to recognize what is no longer in support of the personal truths actually that we are arriving at this point in time, and also the personal power that is giving us. This combination of cards is telling me that we are letting go of the past and we are finding the personal power to follow our heart's true passions, guided by this divine inspiration that's coming through at this time. This is very much so reminding me of this Jupiter and Aries energy that we have going on right now. Like there is this, I mean, we have the Six of Swords. This is talking about leaving something. This is talking about moving away from something. And it's like, we are disappointed and feeling sort of bad and sort of sad about the things that we may be realizing at this point in time that we need to walk away from, that we need to move on from, that we need to let go of because they're just not doing right by us anymore, or we've outgrown them in one way or another, and they're not aligning with this Queen of Wands that we are becoming at this point in time, based on the spiritual awakening that is feeding into our own personal awakening, that is really, you know, inspiring us to charge ahead along this new path, following our passions, following our heart, following our authentic alignment, inspired by this divine inspiration, this divine creativity, this divine talent, this divine like potential that we're recognizing that is coming through and that is empowering us. This to me is talking about a need at this point in time to move away from the people, places, circumstances, situations from the past that are not supporting our growth and evolution into our authentic self, into the truth of our power, and into this next phase of life in alignment with that authentic truth and that authentic power and all of the fulfillment and abundance that is sure to magnetize and attract itself to us when we are coming from that state. I feel like that's what this is talking about, and it's pretty clear and it's pretty straightforward. And yeah, there may be some real hard feelings that we are dealing with as a result of what we are having to leave and walk away from in this energy that, you know, we really truly may have loved and felt committed and attached to. But the Six of Swords here, this is going on a new journey. This is moving away from troubled waters, these cups, these troubled waters, and it is in direct pursuit of that personal power, based on that divine inspiration, based on the personal truth that is being expanded for us now, that we are gaining an awareness of. So find it to be a very interesting reading in the context of this energy that we have playing out as well. And it's really funny because I just picked up, where did it go? I just saw it. I just saw the card underneath the Knight of Wands on the back of the deck, and it was actually the Seven of Swords in reverse. And the Seven of Swords, this is a card of lies and deception, you guys. But when it's in reverse, this is about seeing through the lies and the deception. So yeah, we are moving away from manipulation, deception. Like, we are seeing through the illusion based on probably these vastly overblown, expanded, exaggerated illusions that may be coming through as well. So very, very interesting how that plays out over the course of things. Sorry, my lighting is like all over the place, you guys. I'm in the process of trying to figure out a new place to set up my little shop, because shooting these videos in the morning, the light coming through, it like changes things so weird, and I feel like it makes everything look like so weird, and I would like to have some consistent lighting. So I am trying to find a better place to shoot in my house. I just have a lot going on and I haven't done it yet, but every time I shoot these videos, I'm like, darn, I really need to do that. Anyways, less about me, more about the synchronicity cards. Let's draw a synchronicity card. These cards are by Janice Shellman. They're just little messages from God that can assist us in providing something that is beneficial in navigating whatever we got going on. So let's get one more card for us today, you guys, and see what God wants us to know as this energy is unfolding. And there's one shooting out. Interesting. So funny. It says, don't fight it. Which is, what we're supposed to be doing. What do these cards say? We are surrendering. We are surrendering to the loss at this point in time. And that's another thing. With Mars and Neptune together, Neptune and Pisces, this is ruling loss and what we need to release, like what is fading away. And it could... Don't fight the things that are leaving your life at this point in time. Message. Period. But let's read the card. It says, release those subject to bondage. Hebrews 2:15. Whatever type of restriction or bondage you find yourself experiencing, don't fight against it mentally. No, God will open up a new door for you and lead you to peace and freedom. And honestly, like, this again is probably the most relevant advice that we could get in this energy, especially with the moon in Capricorn today. Like, what did I exactly say? What negative self-perceptions are limiting our growth? What is holding us back from personal success? What feelings of lack are keeping us from expanded? Whatever type of restriction or bondage, that is Saturn, is keeping you from finding yourself, whatever type of restriction or bondage you find yourself experiencing, don't fight against it mentally. No, God will open up a new door for you and lead you to peace and freedom. So this is the synchronicity message from God today, and I really feel like this is something that we should definitely probably be keeping in the back of our mind all day, and know that things are playing out how they need to play out. We are still very much in divine timing right now. We are in an eclipse, the 2 weeks following eclipse, very powerful. Also, they're in effect for 6 months. And with all of this, also the sun in the trine to Pluto today, this also breaks things down just naturally and inherently, and causes these transformations and causes this purge and causes this release. So we are not fighting against today whatever moves the universe might be making for us. And, you'll know, okay? Like, if this is something that, applies to you today in some type of way, I feel like you'll know. So that is what we got, you guys. That is what we got. The message from the stars, the message from the cards. I hope I was able to provide something for you guys that can give you some type of clarity in navigating the energy as you go throughout your day today. If you guys did like this video, please give me a big thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel. Share it with your friends if you think that they would be interested. Leave me comments, you guys. I absolutely love your comments. I love you guys so much. I appreciate you, each and every one of you, so much. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for being on this cosmic journey with me. I have a Facebook page, a Facebook group, website, and some other social media stuff. Those are in my description box below. And come back with me tomorrow, you guys. We are going to have another day of astrology to talk about. I'm sure there will be lots to get into. You don't want to miss it. I will be here. You should be here too. Remember, you guys, don't fight it. Have a beautiful day, everybody, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye, guys.